Alright, this is one of the things I wanted to work on through the winter here, and I finally got it all built up. It's a new custom quad, that 2.5-inch form factor, and what I wanted to do is to build a Cinewhoop under 250 grams. It would have a GPS on board, it would have a compass on board, it would have a barometer on board, it'd fly for 5 minutes or more, and it would have a 4K camera. So this is what I built up. I did a lot of preparations, calculations, bought all the parts that I felt would able to get me all those goals, and this is the result. I haven't really given it a name yet, but let me go over some of the factors. One is that I started with the Pavo 25 frame, which is a pretty solid modern pusher style frame. Carbon fiber, it's very rigid, solid setup, so you can buy that frame separately. I then went with a Flywoo Goku GN 405S, which is one of the latest high performance chips, all in one board flight controller. And the reason that I like that flight controller is it has a built-in barometer on it, and you don't find that on a lot of all-in-one boards. Now this has a 25 by 25 form factor, which is exactly what you need for this particular frame. I reused one of my VTXs. That's an AKK FX3 standard VTX, so this is the analog setup. I'm using SpeedyBee 1404 4500 kV motors, that's the size that you'll find on just about any of these 2.5-inch Cinewhoop style quads out there. They're all using essentially that same. They're definitely using the 1404. They may have a little bit of variation on the kV, but they're all down in that 5,000 kV and under range. But this SpeedyBee motors are very high quality, and I thought I'd go with them. I'm using on the back here, the GPS that I'm using is a Maytech M8Q 5883 GPS module, which has a built-in GPS, or excuse me, a built-in compass on board. It has a little connector on one side. You wire that up to the flight controller, and the flight controller's got provisions on here. Basically, the GPS wires up to a spare UART port, but to get the compass to work, you have to pick up two other pads in here that are pretty unique to certain flight controllers. So you got to be looking for those compass ports if you're going to be trying to buy a flight controller with the GPS compass combination. Let's see what else. I decided I like the Runcam Phoenix cameras, so I've used the Runcam Phoenix 2 Nano camera on here. I have an XM Plus receiver, so it's an analog setup. I'm using one of the new Osprey antennas. It's an SMA, so I ran SMA down to the VTX module, which is on the stack inside of here that I built up. I made a mount both for the thumb and for the Go 2, so same style design, so I can put either the Go 2 or the thumb on here, and I have the thumb so it's powered by the power on the quad itself. And then I built some landing feet for the bottom here, rather than have it land onto the regular plastic part of the frame. I built that up. I also made this special mount here for the receiver antennas coming out, and they screw right into the back here. And I also made this custom 3D mount here for the Maytech GPS module. So anyway, it comes all together. This happens as you see it here with a 553S battery. Comes in at 248 grams. So I have flown it inside here. The weather's pretty crappy out. I don't want to really go out where it's wet and might have a risk of having it fail safe on me or something. But we'll be doing some flights with that here in a little bit. I have tested the GPS. Everything comes through into my goggles properly, so I can see all of that indications. And I can see the heading. I can see the barometric altitude. All of that's set up in Betaflight. Now, one of the goals I have is this particular flight controller here isn't really supported by INAV yet, but they're in the process of getting that supported, because this is a brand new flight controller from Flyroo that they're trying to get working on INAV. And once that's done, the INAV is really the firmware that you need to have on the flight controller to really get that position hold to work correctly. So I'm not really looking to do this for, you know, rescue or return to home, because obviously I'm going to fly a Cinewhoop pretty close to where I'm flying. I'm mainly trying to see if I can accomplish a good position hold where the quad is flying. I can fly hands off and it'll film whatever I'm pointing at. So I think that would be pretty cool to do, and I haven't seen anybody do that yet. All right. Have a good day.